speakers who exemplify the unique voice and perspectives that our students bring to the program, to the campus, and now to the world. Please get ready to be moved by these variable forces of nature. First up is Jackson Reinagel.
So you're probably wondering why I gathered you all here today. If you're not, then you must not know who I am, and that's okay. We all play different characters in each other's lives, and really all that matters is when you show up and where and how, because that's really all you can control. So the conversation that we've been practicing for all the years, 15 or whatever years I've been working on this degree. Well, older than I look, gender is a crazy thing. It's not real, and neither is whiteness, and that's what we have to talk about. So we're holding, me and my little, I started Theta Pi chapter here. It's from Santa Cruz. It's a whole thing. It's gender neutral Greek org. It's family. It's amazing. It's part of what makes Boulder special. It needed to be here. Like, I needed to be here. I've never had so much privilege and safety, and that's because of all the people around me and all the support that I've built that make this possible. And it's all about recognizing like that I didn't and couldn't have gotten here by myself, and what I want to do next couldn't happen without these networks. And so I want to run for Boulder City Council, and I want to buy a bed and breakfast, and I want to change the world. And I think that all the people in this room today have helped given me the tools to make that possible. And I'm looking around and not forgetting the speech that I didn't write, because all of you give me the hope and know like that it's possible. So we're holding a workshop at 3:30 in the biggest lecture hall in humanities at 3:30 today. Please come if you can. Bring your families, bring your friends. Yeah, I want to broadcast it. It's a conversation that needs to happen everywhere, and it's starting here at Boulder. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Casey McAndrew.
Coming out on this snowy afternoon to celebrate with us as we get ready to move on to the next chapter of our lives. Webster's Dictionary defines a woman as... Just kidding. All that tuition money only to start a speech like that? My parents would kill me. I'll try to stay away from cliches, so let me tell you a story instead. A couple weeks ago, I got in a Lyft to come back from the airport. The driver and I were talking, and I told him I was a student. He asked me what I studied. I told him I study women and gender studies. When I explained to him what that means, and kind of that it means that I study feminist theory, he rolled his eyes and said, "Oh great, just what this world needs, more feminists." I didn't say anything, and I just kind of smiled. And him realizing that he had made a mistake, he laughed awkwardly and said, "Well, there goes my tip." When he dropped me off, I thanked him for the ride, and the Lyft asked me if I wanted to tip him. So I tipped him 20% with a note that said, "Whether you want more of us or not, the good thing about feminists is that we usually tip well." So here's the thing that I've learned being a women and gender studies major. People who judge us for our major are the same people who probably don't realize that there's a difference between gender, sex, and sexuality. Something that's drilled into our heads every syllabus week for like the past 12 billion semesters. So let's do a quick poll. Graduates and faculty, raise your hand if you know the difference between sex and gender. Raise it high so that people can see. Great. Now folks in the audience, raise your hand if you know the difference between sex and gender. All right, graduates. So actually, if you raise your hand before, keep them up. Perfect. Graduates, look around. I'm sure some of your family members didn't raise their hand. But I'm sure that if they're here today, they love you a whole hell of a lot. And they want to be let into your world. So whether you're going to the reception later, let them into it. Tell them what you spent all this money getting a degree in women and gender studies for. At least you know the difference between sex and gender. But before I go any further, I need to confess something. I wasn't always a women and gender studies major. I started out as an MCDB major, which is molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. Then I realized that sucked, and I switched to IPI, which is integrative physiology. And then eventually I realized that sucked. But in between that period, I didn't take my first women and gender studies class until I was a sophomore. Because I thought, I'm already a feminist, what else is there to know? Luckily for me, and like many other good decisions in my life, I listened to my mother and decided to take a class called Femininities, Masculinities, and Alternatives. 5 weeks later, as I was sitting in a lecture about bestiality, I realized that there's a lot more to learn. My point is, all of our experiences are different. Mine is lucky enough to be defined by love. Whether it's my grandfather sending me recorded VHS tapes of SpongeBob to watch when I lived overseas, or my grandma getting a bouquet of flowers tattooed for my cousins and I, or my other grandpa Bubby teaching me how to play poker when I was 7, or my other grandma Fruti saving every single drawing that I have ever made, which is a lot. Or, as I'd like to point out, my conservative family who came all the way to the People's Republic of Boulder to a women and gender studies commencement. So lucky to have a life filled with love, and I try to put it back into this world. And one of the coolest things about humans is that we have an amazing capacity for empathy, even if our experiences are different. And what I've learned from my time as a women and gender studies major is the power of community, and the intense, unlimited power of a community of feminists. So ladies and gents and non-binary friends, we are a group of world changers. With the knowledge we've gained over the past 4 years, we can go out into the world and make it a better place. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff in our time at CU. The world seems more and more hateful, and we're just getting angrier at each other. And at a time when there is so much anger, meet it with love. Now, as a feminist, I know one of our favorite things is unsolicited advice, so let me give you some. Embrace being wrong. Just because we're graduating today doesn't mean we stop learning. Talk to people you disagree with. Listen to them. Be kind. Always tip your Lyft drivers. And when someone asks you what you're going to do with that degree, tell them you're going to change the world, because you are. And congratulations, class of 2019. I'm honored to be surrounded by so many world changers.
And finally, we'll hear from Jamie Ramji.
Can you hear me okay?
When I was preparing to write this speech, my professor and mentor, Rob Buffington, said to me, just speak from your heart and personal experience. So here it goes. If you don't like this speech, please take it up with him. If I'm being honest, college has gone nothing like I expected. I had this idea of who I was, what I wanted, and how I'd impact the world. Time and time again, though, since coming to college, I've been confronted with the reality that if you make assumptions, things never go as planned. You've got to run with what shows up. My biggest awakening to that was when I was diagnosed with epilepsy my sophomore year. For those of you who don't know, epilepsy is a seizure disorder that embodies itself differently in everyone. I went a year undiagnosed after my first episode. I had seizures in class, in grocery stores, in parking lots, and around roommates who thought I was faking it for attention. I felt disappointed and misunderstood, as I expect many others feel when they are dealing with problems unseen by others. Thankfully now, I can proudly say I'm over 2 years seizure-free. It took a long time to get here, and a huge shift in attitude and perspective. The Women and Gender Studies department, my family, my peers, and living with a disability shaped who I am. Before randomly taking an Intro to LGBT Studies class, I didn't even know Women and Gender Studies was a department. It was by chance or maybe fate that I ended up here. I was shocked by how many of my conceptualizations of gender, sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, class, disability, and even my feminism were whitewashed and heteronormative. I learned just how hugely problematic that was. Even though growing up, I had what I would consider a progressive education and community, it didn't go deep enough. You see, I think there's a fear. A fear of questioning beliefs, of being embarrassed by lacking awareness or getting it wrong, of being judged and being blamed for injustices committed presently or historically, institutionally or systemically by ourselves or others. This relationship to failure needs to change. Because without failure, there can be no innovation. What this department holds me accountable to is confronting that fear. Also, thinking critically, questioning everything, and taking action. This department, like Casey, has also shown me the power of community. Before that LGBT studies class, I'd only kind of come out to my mom. We were on the back porch in the summer sun, just musing about what my college experience would be like after my high school graduation. I said nervously, but trying to act casually, what if I dated women in college? My mom looked at me and coolly replied, "You're glad you found something else to like." She said this as if I had just told her I want to take up a hobby like pottery or swing dancing. What I know from statistics, readings, and what I've heard from my friends and peers is that my experience of coming out is unfortunately and unjustly atypical. Watching my classmates support each other in their identities has shown me the power of community. Showing up in solidarity can be complex though, especially when acknowledging the multiplicity of people's identities. Identity politics can be characterized as alliances and social categorization that can pull people apart. But that's certainly not all there is. In combination with an intersectional lens, there is potential for understanding inequality, fostering community, and bringing about social justice. To make that work, it takes radical vulnerability that can create circumstances for failure, misunderstanding, and disappointment. As I continuously shape my relationship to epilepsy, I found that vulnerability can be a valuable tool in making unknown pain and struggle points of possibility. I didn't know I'd fall in love or out of love. I didn't know that friendships cycle between comfort and discomfort repeatedly. That I'd lose my dad to MS this semester. I didn't know I could feel so much at once. My point is nothing is permanent. Things are as you make them out to be. So what's my advice, class of 2019? Yield into discomfort. Learn from your successes and failures and find your unexplored potential. With a learner's mindset, you will understand that simultaneously you can try to be prepared for anything, but in actuality, be prepared for nothing. Things will happen in your life that will defy every expectation you have. So roll with it and defy all of your expectations. Thanks. Congrats.
Thank you, Jackson, Casey, and Jamie for your speeches and for your many contributions to the Women and Gender Studies program, department, and see you all.